Okay, it's 12:05 now, so we'll get started. But first, let's take a look at the poll results of the two questions we had so we can see who's on the line. Looks like we have manufacturer and manufacturer reps on the line, which is good. And seems a lot of you are already complying with the appliance standards in other states as well, which is good. Okay. So the poll has been finished. What I'll do is I'll jump into it. Thank you, everyone who's joined today. I appreciate it. Just some quick housekeeping items first. I do want to let you know this webinar is being recorded, and we will make this presentation available to everyone who registered. And everyone is on mute right now. We have quite a few folks. We're asking that you put your questions into the Q&A section. We'll also have time to take questions at the end, but since we have an hour, I don't mind taking questions during the presentation too, so that's fine. So with that said, I'll dive into it. I'm Ryan Moore. I'm a project manager with our Codes, Products, and Standards team here at NYSERDA. I'm also joined by Patrick O'Shea, who's the director of NYSERDA's Market Development Program, as well as Claire Miziolek and Kate DeVal from Energy Solutions. And Energy Solutions is providing compliance support for the monitoring and the compliance monitoring in New York State. So Patrick, Kate, or Claire might chime in case I forget anything, but overall, this webinar is to provide information on New York State recently adopted commercial food service equipment standards. I'll provide an overview on the standards, how they might impact the food service industry, and discuss how to comply with these standards that will be taking effect on June 26th. And one thing I do want to emphasize here is New York is not the outlier here with these standards. Several other states have adopted similar, if not the same, standards and testing procedures as New York, which I'll get into further. But with the main point, other states have essentially created their own standards, which have developed almost a de facto quasi-national standard. So for example, just in the Northeast, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Vermont, also have similar, if not the same, standards for this type of equipment. With that, we can move on to the next slide. Okay. So quick overview on this. Last year, we passed the Advanced Building Codes Appliance and Equipment Efficiency Standards Act. I'm just going to call it the Standards Act for short. This legislation gave New York State and mandated NYSERDA to adopt energy efficiency standards for products and appliances that were not preempted by the federal government. As a result, NYSERDA has been tasked to handle all aspects of the standards, from developing the standards, going through the rulemaking and adoption process, as well as tracking compliance. However, the enforcement side of things will be handled by the New York State Department of State, and they'll be strictly the enforcement wing for this effort. So why does New York have these product standards? As many of you might know, during the Trump administration, DOE rolled back many of the efficiency standards and stalled a lot of the rulemaking activities. So this gave New York State, as well as several other states, the opportunity to develop efficiency standards for these products and appliances that are now not preempted by the federal government. And the reason we're doing this is appliance standards are basically the best energy efficiency policy you haven't heard of. It's cost effective, and it's one of our top strategies to meet New York's aggressive climate goals. So like many other states, NYSERDA is setting efficiency standards basically to prevent the most inefficient and worst performing appliances from entering the New York market. And additionally, these standards are going to save energy, conserve water, and reduce emissions. We adopted a total of 21 standards, and 5 of those are related to commercial kitchen equipment. And the impact of just the commercial equipment standards, we're going to save nearly 560,000 tons of CO2 a year. End users will see a utility bill savings of $42 million by 2035. And also by 2035, they'll save nearly 265 gigawatts of electricity, 56 million metric therms of gas and oil, and will save 2.6 gallons of water through 2035. So with that, we can move on to the next slide, please. Great. Okay. So the overview here, any entity selling, leasing, renting, or even installing regulated products, including manufacturers, retailers, distributors, installers, have compliance responsibilities. Like I mentioned, after the Standards Act was passed, we went through the rulemaking process for the 21 standards, which were adopted on December 28, 2022, and will go into effect on June 26th of this month. So any entity that sells, leases, rents, installs these products are responsible for compliance. In most situations, the manufacturers are the most involved in compliance, as well as the retailers who sell them. So what does this mean? Essentially, any appliance manufactured on or after the June 26th effective date must meet our efficiency standards. Existing stock can still be sold, leased, and rented as long as it was manufactured before the June 26th date. I want to emphasize that these standards shouldn't directly impact any end users like restaurants or hospitality services, and distributors will have the opportunity, like I said, to sell through their stock, assuming it was manufactured before June 26th. So next slide, please. And these are the 5 commercial kitchen equipment standards that we have. As you can see, the standards and test procedures align with previous versions of the Energy Star specification. So you'll see the standard and test procedure was Energy Star version 1.2, version 2.0. So for instance, let's take the first one, commercial dishwashers, version 2.0. If you wanted to buy an Energy Star dishwasher today, it would have to meet the 3.0 version to get that label. So dishwashers today that only meet the 2.0 version do not get that label, but they'll still meet our standards in New York State. And the main thing, these standards are all about efficiency, saving energy, saving money, saving water, and reducing emissions. We're only phasing out the worst performing, least efficient appliances from entering the New York market. And also I want to point out, as you can see here, that other states like Massachusetts, Vermont, New Jersey, and a host of others, Rhode Island, have the same, if not similar, requirements. So it's good to align and have everybody on the same page here. Next slide. All right, compliance for manufacturers. So how do you comply? First, we want to make sure the manufacturers are certifying their eligible appliances into the State Appliance Standards Database. It's SASD for short. This database was developed by the Northeast Energy Efficiency Partnership and funded by states like New York, New Jersey, Vermont, the other states that have their own standards like us. And if your product is already certified to Energy Star, that product model will already be uploaded into the database. So it will already be in there. So any of your products that have the Energy Star label now should be in the database as we speak. And if you put in the model number, it's in the database, there's a very good chance it's not compliant. So with that said, I'll go on to the next slide. And here's a screenshot of the State Appliance Standards Database. Many manufacturers are already aware of the database based on the standards that the other states have adopted and have already created their accounts. But if you're a manufacturer and you haven't done that, the first step is to create an account, which you can see in the upper right-hand corner. This database is very intuitive. It allows you to search products and toggle by state. So to search for compliant products on the database, you just need to enter the the model number, manufacturer name, or brand, and hit search. And then you can filter by product and state. The database also has a support guide to help you understand how to verify a product and certify the data. But you can always email the customer support if you run into any issues, and that is the SASD@energysolution.com email that you see on the slide there. Okay, next slide. Okay, so for retailers, sellers, renters, and leasers, whenever a retailer is ordering new inventory, we're strongly encouraging them to go into the State Appliance Standards database, run the model numbers, and make sure they're compliant with regulations. National retailers, many who already have their own compliance division, are already complying with these requirements in other states. And again, if you're a retailer and have existing products on shelves or showrooms, actually for sale, you can go ahead and sell through that stock. And then once that stock is sold through, you can pivot to make sure all your new orders on appliances were manufactured on or after the June 26th date. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is another screenshot from the State Appliance Standards database. This shows you how you can filter by product category and state. Sometimes if you're not seeing the model number, what we suggest is you try searching the brand or even a portion of the model number and it might come up. And again, if it doesn't come up, then there's a good chance it's not compliant, but you can always email the help desk for support to confirm that it's definitely not in the database. Next slide, please. Okay, so as we've rolled out these product standards, we've been getting a lot of good questions, and right here is our top three. And really, when it comes to compliance, it all comes down to the manufacturer date. So number one question is, if sellers are waiting for delivery of an already purchased piece of equipment, can they still be sold? Yes. Assuming product was manufactured before June 26th, which good chance it is, you can sell that stock. And can manufacturers sell existing stock? Yes, yeah. Again, this is based on the manufacturer date. So manufacturers, distributors, retailers can sell through any of the stock that's manufactured before the June 26th date. And lastly, is used equipment in the scope of these regulations? So yes, if the equipment was manufactured on or after June 26th and it's a used piece of equipment, it will have to comply with these regulations. However, if it's you're reselling something that was manufactured before June 26th, it does not apply to these regulations. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, so Con Edison has their own food service incentive program for commercial kitchen equipment. And Con Ed is still offering these incentives, but based on the standards, they shifted their incentives for better performing equipment in terms of efficiency. So now Con Ed has two tiers of incentives, with tier one having lower incentives than tier two, because tier two is more efficient and has more energy savings associated with it. But the good news is Con Ed is still offering incentives for this equipment. And if you're in the market to buy it, we strongly encourage you to take advantage of that program. And next slide. So like I said, we'll be distributing this slide deck to everybody who registered, but these are a bunch of helpful links to get you acquainted with the New York State Appliance Standards. We have our compliance manual up there, we have fact sheets, overviews, and we have an FAQ document there. And any questions on New York State Appliance Standards, you can email appliancestandards@nyserta.ny.gov. Or if you're having issues with the State Appliance Standards database, you can email that sasd@energysolution.com. So that I went through that all pretty quick. You can move on to the next slide. And I want to see if any questions have come in, or if you want, you can just type them into the Q&A chat. And some of you might be wondering, what are the compliance activities that we'll be doing? So we're going to be coordinating with the other states with aligning standards to reference products and appliance models that have been identified as non-compliant, ensuring those same models aren't also being sold in New York State. We're also going to be doing web harvesting and online research to see what's being sold online into New York. What other activities? We'll be doing in-store research and audits, including random spot checks, looking for non-compliant products. And we'll also be analyzing the New York State shipping data of eligible product categories. We'll be reviewing test lab reports and the technical specifications documents as well from various product categories. So we'll be reviewing retail stocking data of eligible products and appliances, and that's how we're going to basically determine what our compliance rate is. So for the most part, if you're a restaurant, you shouldn't see any real impact to your business here. This really applies more to the manufacturers and the retailers selling these appliances. But happy to answer any questions. Do we have any questions that came into the Q&A?
Ryan, before you get into that, I just wanted to piggyback a little bit and just say all of those activities will be used to support the various industries that are impacted by these standards. So we'll be collecting that information about what kind of products are on the market, which ones are non-compliant, in order to inform our outreach and resource development activities to understand who needs the most support, who's not understanding what the compliance process is, and how can we best support them. So just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, thanks for adding that, Kate. And that's another key point to this whole webinar, is that we're here to help with compliance. We don't want to make it harder for you to do this. This should be easy, and we're here to guide you through the whole process. So again, always email appliancestandards@nyserta.ny.gov, and we'll be able to help you out. But do we have any questions? I'm not seeing any. Well, if there's no question,
hi. Again, sorry, I see the Q&A chat. There's a few questions in here. One question is, does this affect distributors? Meaning, if we sell to an end user that isn't up to the standards, are we to be fined? Will the customer be fined, the manufacturer?
Yes, if it's in the distributor's possession, it would be the distributor's responsibility. Again, the product has to be manufactured after June 26th. From what we understand from our food service partners, it takes about 6 to 12 months for stock to turn over. So we're not expecting to see too many non-compliant products in the next 2 months or so. Anything else you want to add to that, Kate?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, it's everyone's responsibility in the supply chain to comply. So manufacturers, distributors, retailers, anyone selling. And so the more that you can make sure that your communication is very clear with who you're buying from and who you're selling to make sure that there are certain products that can and cannot be sold in New York, I think that would benefit all parties. So being very clear about what is allowed and what isn't allowed, and just making sure that if you're a manufacturer, your distributors are aware of the standards, and if you're a distributor, making sure that your manufacturers are only giving you compliant products to sell.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. And since the other nearby states up here are adopting same standards, a lot of the manufacturers understand the Northeast compliance. So they'll hopefully be sending us all commercial kitchen equipment appliances that will meet our standards.
Ryan, this is Patrick O'Shea. I just want to make sure we're really, really clear on that. So this compliance is at the point of sale, or the point of installation, and is the responsibility of the seller or the installer. So I just want to be clear that that's what we've been saying in this. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. What's the next question?
The next question is, how are penalties being handled? Are equipment outside of the Energy Star scope still available to be sold within the state? For example, a commercial dishwasher outside of Energy Star's scope.
So yes, if the commercial dishwasher meets our version 2.0 energy standard, and it can be sold in the state. If it was manufactured before the June 26th date, that can also still be sold. It can't be shipped into the state, but if it's existing stock on a showroom, it can still be sold.
And just to add to that a bit, there is a compliance policies and procedures manual on the NYSERDA Appliance Standards Resources page that includes an appendix with all of the detailed information on product definitions, product requirements, test procedures. And so to the person who asked that question, I would check the definition that's in the adopted standard. It most likely aligns with the definitions that Energy Star has used, but that's the best place to look to make sure that the equipment that is being sold into New York also falls within that definition.
Okay.
And then the next question, oh, go ahead, Ryan.
No, go ahead. What's the next question?
The next question is, how does this affect the existing rebate programs on Energy Star products?
On Energy Star product, this shouldn't impact the rebates for Energy Star equipment at all, because to meet the Energy Star, to get that label now, you have to meet the version 3.0 to get that label. So this will not impact the Energy Star label. So if all your products are Energy Star, you're already complying with our, you're above and beyond our standards, so you're already complying.
And I'll just add to that, the State Appliance Standards Database, SASD, has an API with Energy Star, so that product data is being pulled into SASD from Energy Star, but manufacturers or third-party certifiers will still need to create an account and verify that the products that the product data they've uploaded to Energy Star is allowed to also be listed on the SASD. And to the next question that was just asked, we can check all allowed products on the website, correct? That's correct. On the State Appliance Standards database, that will contain all of the information on the products that are allowed to be sold into New York. Sold, leased, and rented, I should say.
Thanks, Kate.
And the last question I see in the chat is, from looking at the SASD site, commercial ovens and fryers only have a few manufacturers. Does this mean until other companies meet standards, there will only be 1 to 3 manufacturers?
Yes, so what's on the website is essentially what is compliant now. If it's not on the SASD database, it's a good chance it's non-compliant. Would you agree with that, Kate?
Yeah, I would say that there's a lot more products that need to be approved on the back end of the SASD. So if you work with manufacturers who have Energy Star certified equipment, but you're not seeing it on the SASD, I would let them know immediately that they need to create an account and verify products, because it's very likely that there's many more compliant products on the market in terms of meeting the performance requirements, but they still need to be certified in the database. So our team is trying to spread the word and get this on manufacturers' radars, but if you're a distributor, wholesale distributor, a dealer who is not seeing the products that you're currently selling, I would get in touch with your contact as soon as you can and even point them to the appliance standards at nycerta.newyork.gov email.
Great.
And Ryan, we have a few more questions here. So one of them is, in Massachusetts, the rebate for Energy Star was eliminated and now must meet a higher standard of efficiency than Energy Star. Will this happen in New York?
I can't speak to that because any of those rebates programs will come from the utility companies. NYSERDA does not have any rebates or incentives for Energy Star equipment. So will this happen in New York? I can't confirm that. It really depends on the utilities rebate program on that specific appliance.
Thank you.
And I see there's one more. Please confirm that this will not affect the rebate dollars by product category that are available and being marketed through Energy Solutions. I don't believe this will affect the rebate by product category, but Energy Solutions also works on the Con Ed food service program. So Kate, you can confirm that this will not affect the rebate by product category, correct?
Correct. There are rebates still available.
Great. And if there's no other questions, again, it looks like there's one more. It seems free to list now. Is it ever going to cost to list for me? Okay, so it sounds like you're asking if it's going to be a cost to register your appliance to the State Appliance Standards database. No, there's no cost to that, and we don't anticipate there being a cost to that. And the second question here, also, is there a reason why you don't just reference Energy Star website instead of building a new database just for New York? So the Energy Star website only covers appliances that meet the Energy Star requirement. Since our minimum efficiency levels are the previous version of Energy Star, those won't be on the Energy Star website. This database is a collaboration between many states to make sure manufacturers, retailers, distributors can go in there and check to make sure their products are certified and in the database. And again, what are the fees for a manufacturer to get certified? Again, no fees. And is this for both gas and electric? So in the commercial equipment slide, I believe so commercial ovens, those are gas, but these are basically about efficiency. So we're trying to get on the market more efficient gas appliances, more efficient electric appliances. So yes, it covers both gas and electric. And it says, are all equipment listed on the Energy Solution rebate program are compliant? Okay, so I think what they're saying, they're referencing the Con Ed food service program that Energy Solution manages. And if the equipment listed is in compliance. Yeah, so anything on Con Ed's website that they list should be in compliance. It's pretty clear. They have the two-tier system for Energy Star. Kate, could you speak to the tier system? Because I know tier 1 is for Energy Star, but the less efficient version, and tier 2 is for a more efficient version of that product and therefore a bigger rebate.
I'm not sure
correct?
what the details of the rebates are, but we have a team of folks who do, and so you can send that question to instantrebates-ne@energy-solution.com. Our team who handles that will know what products, if all of those products that meet those Con Ed rebates are also compliant with these standards. I'll also note that even if those products meet those performance requirements that New York State has adopted, those products still need to be listed in the SASD. So they're only partially compliant if they meet the performance requirements. They also have to meet those certification requirements as well.
Thanks, Kate. Okay, well, any other questions? I don't see any right now. But again, if there is, feel free to email us. Feel free to get in touch. One more just popped up. Where can manufacturers go for information if the standards ever change? There's several ways. Through our compliance support and outreach, we'll be reaching out. We have a large stakeholder list of manufacturers, manufacturer reps, distributors. So if the standards ever change, we'll be alerted that way. But to preface that, for our standards to change, we have to actually go through a rulemaking process. It's basically the regulatory process to get public input on the specification and get it formally adopted by the state. So we'll definitely make announcements if the standards ever change, but before that even happens, we'll have to go through a rulemaking process that can take at least 6 months. So you'll have plenty of lead time if the standards are expected to change.
And I would also say checking in the NYSERDA Appliance Standards website, that will have the most up-to-date information on these standards. And there's also a mailing list that you can sign up on for updates to the standards and the compliance processes.
Thank you, Kate. How are dealer distributions being advised of this new requirement and penalties being implemented? Yes, right now, Energy Solutions is helping us with the outreach to dealers, equipment vendors, and distributors. In the legislation, the penalties are $500 for a violation and then $100 per day while it's still in violation. It's still in the New York market. However, before that happens, Energy Solutions will basically track that, work with the manufacturer to make sure they're getting that particular model or product off the market, and it will then be sent over to Department of State to handle levying the fines. And one thing I do want to mention is this is not going to be a revenue generating stream. The fines would just be used to go back into ensuring we have a high compliance rate and supporting the compliance program. Give it another minute to see if any other questions come in. And what I'll do is I will include this the Q&A that we received on this webinar with the recording and the slide deck, so you have it. And I will also send our FAQ document, which has a host of other questions that we've received so far. So I will send those to you after this webinar wraps up. You'll get a link to the webinar so you can listen to the recording, or if your colleagues wanted to make it, you can just forward the link onto them. So if there aren't any more questions, I just want to thank everyone for attending. I appreciate you taking the time to attend, especially those on the East Coast. I know it's lunchtime, so hopefully giving you 20 minutes back so you can have some lunch. But again, we're here to help to make sure your commercial kitchen equipment is compliant, and please don't hesitate to reach out should you have any additional questions. And thank you again for attending. Go ahead, Kate.
Quickly, there's just 2 final questions here. Yes, these standards are for both gas and electric equipment. And someone has said, I see no information on the NYSERDA website in reference to commercial kitchen equipment. When will this be updated? So there is a NYSERDA Appliance Standards website. So I would type that into your search engine and go specifically to that page. And then under the current standards tab, you'll be able to see what product categories are impacted by these standards, what the standard and test procedure is, and what the certification database is. So on that website, you'll also be able to find more information on compliance, frequently asked questions, and then there's an entire resources page that has 2 fact sheets on the food service equipment standards on their own.
Yeah, maybe it'd be helpful. Sal, would you be able to go to slide 12, the Learn More slide, and click on the first link, the NYSERDA Appliance Standards website? I just want to make sure you guys see where everything is. All right, so this is our landing page for appliance standards. I don't know if you're able to blow that up at all, but on the left-hand side, you get information on the regulatory process, rulemaking. To the left, you can, yeah, there we go. You see the public comments, the current standards, and that will show the table of all 21 standards, including the 5 commercial kitchen equipment. And we have information on compliance, enforcement, FAQs, and then the resources link will have the manual, will have our fact sheets, and other support materials. Great, thanks for pulling that up, Sal. Okay. I'm gonna guess there's no more questions. If so, I will let you guys go early. And again, just feel free to email us if you think of anything else. And we appreciate you joining today. Thank you.